Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight panel series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm the senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with a number of business leaders here in Central Texas where we get to talk about entrepreneurship, about business, about kind of this just crazy journey that many of us are on, the ups and the downs, the everything that kind of comes along with it. So excited to be jumping in, having some fun conversation here for a bit. I just want to first of all say thank you all for taking the time and being here today. Let's start with just a little bit of background. Let's start with kind of say 10,000 foot view of who you are and tell us about your business. Let's take, I don't know, roughly 2 minutes each to kind of go through that process. Looking at my screen here, John, you're kind of first one on mine. So I'm going to start with you. Give us kind of the 10,000 foot view of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business.
Thank you, Tanner, and it's great to meet everyone on the panel as well. My name is John Heintz. I was always been a techie and a nerd. I was fortunate early in my career to be mentored. In '98, I was taught a whole bunch of things about software quality and craftsmanship, and that really set me on my path for my technical aspects of my career. And in '99, I was able to start using Agile. I started using Scrum and XP very early days. My entrepreneurial career really started in 2008 when I launched my consulting company, gistlabs. That business was very technology focused, people, process, and technology. Lots of fractional CTO, tech due diligence, technical debt work, and various things. In 2015 and 2016, I met my co-founder, and we launched an AI product company in 2016. And this really became a big part of my career and my life. We sold that business in 2020. Then a couple of other things have happened. This year, I sat down and I thought, what do I want to be when I grow up? And what I've decided to do is restart my consulting business, brand it as an AI consultancy, because we've been there and we've done that. And now what we do is we bring custom AI development to businesses that don't have their own data scientists. They probably have some of their own data, but not data scientists. And so now I get to be fortunate enough to help create really cool technology, really, really interesting things, at least interesting to me, where we can connect business and math to come up with answers and insights.
Very cool. Excited to have you here, John. Thank you. Excited to jump in further with some of the conversation there. Josh, you are next up on my screen, so I'll move over to you. 10,000 foot view of kind of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. And yeah, I started my career a little over 15 years ago, and I was right away working in Google Ads, before it was really popular or anything like that. And I was able to get a ton of really good experience working with lots of different companies and growing and scaling lots of different companies, learning what makes advertising work, learning how to really get in front of the right target audience with the right messaging and really improve conversion rates and sales and revenue and things like that. And so about 4 years ago now, I started the Ads Tutor, and that is my agency. It's completely focused on Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn ads, which is the only thing I've spent my time on in my entire career. So I really, really learned the ins and outs of these platforms. I've driven tens of millions of dollars in leads and sales for all kinds of companies through these platforms. And now I'm able to work with any kind of business, small, large, and I have a solution for them to really help them take their company to the next level. So if you're on the smaller side of things, I have a really cool tutoring program that allows me to show you exactly what you need to do so that you could scale your business and drive more leads and sales on these platforms. If there's not enough time and you have the budget, then you can just have your ads managed, and then I can manage your ads for you and scale your business that way. And then this year we actually launched a course as well, a Facebook ads course. So now people can learn how to improve their sales and their leads all by themselves. It's completely DIY process. kind of take the course on your own time. And so it's a really cool three-pronged approach depending on what your needs are specifically.
Excellent. I love it. Josh, welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm excited because I always like to ask a few questions around marketing when it comes to these things. So there may be a few of those we get to touch on today. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Bjorn, I'm going to hand it over to you. Kind of give us your background and tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, my background is I used to own a marketing company, a real estate marketing company down in New Orleans, and we got approached a couple of years ago from a Canadian company in the same space, and they wanted to buy the company. So we made a pretty decent exit in 21, and instantly, I'm an entrepreneur, and I don't run around with a very fantastic education on my back end. So I'm like, all right, well, if I want to make some money, well, I'm gonna start something new. And I had a thought, I've been thinking over for a couple of years, and I have a big, enclosed car hauler sitting at a storage facility, and I was looking at it. Hey, I want to rent this thing out, but I could not find a venue for me to rent it out. So here we are. We created a marketplace called Mytrailer, and think of it like Airbnb for trailers. We're talking about utility trailers, horse trailers, car haulers, you name it. And lo and behold, I went up to the Texas headquarters of the DMV and I told them, I want to know how many trailers there are in each county in Texas just to have an idea what's going on. And 3 weeks later, they sent me everything. So I can tell you that in the Metro Austin areas, there's 179,352 trailers registered privately. And I'd assume that at least 80% of them are just sitting idle in a driveway. And people like to earn some money, and it's a free product. Put it on there, we take a little cut and rent it out. And we're still a startup. We're like 4 or 5 months in, and we don't do much business now. There's a lot of partnerships that we need to get into place before we can really go out and get some investment and seed money and knock it out of the woods. So that's what we're dealing with right now.
Excellent. Well, I'm excited to have you here and jumping in some conversation. Sadiq, I'll hand it over to you next. Kind of give us the background of you and tell us a little bit about your business.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I'm English a little problem. So thank you so much now. Normally I have a brand consultancy in Turkey. I'm from Turkey normally, and recently 5 years e-commerce and US. Firstly and New York, New Jersey, Chicago. So I have a startup 1 years. So marketplace startup like Etsy, do you know? Handmade generally value product, and from Turkey generally seller Turkish people, Turkish seller, but focus market only US and Canada. And enough for you.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you
Can
being
I
here.
ask a question on this one? So, is it only primarily for Turkish people or for Turkish products?
Yes, generally sellers generally Turkish people, Turkish
Okay.
seller, and for market only US, Wboxgo.com or marketplace.
Excellent. Good clarifying question. Thank you. Well, thank you all for being here. Super excited to dive into some of the conversation here. I'm going to start off with kind of I don't know, we'll call it an easy-ish question. But I always like to ask a little bit about kind of the role that you play in the business, especially if you are a little bit newer in the business that you are in currently. My guess is there's more than one singular hat that you wear in the business today. So I'm curious, how many different hats, or how many different roles do you play in your business today? And I'll let you kind of just jump in, whoever wants to jump in on this one and share a little bit about what their role in the business is today.
Oh, I
Sure.
can. Oh, just
Well, I wear all the hats in my business currently. So, I'm the accountant and I'm the one driving leads for my business. I'm also the one working with my clients and executing on those strategies. Um, I'm doing my social media. I am wearing a lot of hats these days. So that is actually something I'm working on, trying to really bring in some talent and help me out and kind of really lay the groundwork so I can scale this business.
Awesome. If I could ask a quick follow-up before the rest of you jump in. When you look at all of the hats, do you have like one or two hats that you absolutely love and are going to kind of keep it forever? And then on the other side, like when you do look to delegate, what's the first one that you're like, that one's getting off my plate. I don't like that one as much.
Yeah, yeah. So I like the paid ads work that I do. It's what I've done my whole careers. It's really cool growing these businesses. Yesterday was Cyber Monday, and I drove $28,000 for one of my clients. And things like that are really exciting. They were super appreciative and grateful, which is always awesome to see as well. So I could see myself keeping that and really keeping that experience and working on that as well, or working on that the whole time. But the things that I would love to delegate would be the accounting and the social media posting. I'm just not interested in those things, and they're just time sucks, and I'm ready to be done.
so you're not interested in doing your own marketing, but you make really well for the other people. That's amazing.
Well, it's a different type of marketing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I can. It makes me smile for sure. And,
Uh-huh.
and anyway, so my main role is obviously the CEO of the company, but the rest of the team kind of work remotely. So my head is operation, marketing, meeting with new clients constantly. So I'm on the foot here in Austin constantly. I never ever in my entire life networked as much as I have done so far, and it's actually been pretty good. And I think I managed to find the partners that we need to have to really take this to the next level. And if I wanted to get rid of something, well, the numbers I don't do well with them, but I certainly do have a good guy on the team that he loves that kind of stuff. So that's perfect for me. I don't even want to look at it.
Send them over.
Yeah, right.
I'll jump in next. Tanner, it's a good question about which hats do you really like and which ones don't you? My first business I started alone. My second business I started with a partner. And this business, I'm actually looking for partners for the things that I'm not good at. And I've realized that my time and my energy are precious commodities. The things that I love doing, that I always want to keep doing, is the technology and the talent. Being able to solve cool problems and being able to find smart people that can solve cool problems. Those two things are just energizing to me. Writing code at midnight is something I can still do and still enjoy and thrive on. The things that I'm not as excited to wear or do is the marketing, messaging, branding, some parts of the market research of setting everything up. I love talking to people about it, but all of the mechanics of getting there and getting everything ready, those are tiring to me, and they don't give me energy. They take energy. And then the other aspect that I'm actually seeking partnership in is perhaps COO, delivery, or perhaps a future president in the business. Somebody to keep all the parts of the business running and spinning that are not technology and talent, the parts that I really like and thrive on. So I'm energized by parts of my business, and other parts of it are much harder to build my own momentum for.
And actually, that brings I'm going to take that as a segue into kind of the next question, because you brought up a good point about partners, and I didn't ask the question of, for each of you, how have you been set up? And did you take on business partners? Are you like co-founders? Are you a sole founder? You just did it all yourself? You brought on outside investors, create a board, anything else like that? What has been kind of your structure, and where do you see things, over the short and near term? Do you expect to have business partners if you don't have any currently? You keeping it all, 100%. This is my business. I'm going to grow it, and I'll bring great people on the team. What has been your philosophy, or where are you at today, kind of in that process?
I'll jump back in because it's still on the top of my mind. My first business in 2008, when I started, I needed to start alone because I had to find my own voice in business. So it was actually important that I do it all by myself. That was part of my growing arc of how I figured out things. In the business that I'm starting this year, I actually would like to have partners, and I'm looking for people that have the right time, have the right energy and experience with startups to be able to do that. I would say that the question mark in my mind for this business is, right now I'm a sole prop, is do I want to stay the majority owner of the business, or do I want to find truly co-founders with equal ownership, and we all kind of split everything up and are responsible for all different pieces together? Though I think that's a choice that I'm looking at, but I'm definitely looking forward to working with people. That was in my second business. I had a co-founder, equal 50-50 split co-founder, and I found that to be, it had its own challenges. Of course, we would argue and debate and everything, but there was also something very rewarding about really being in it with someone else, and so that's a piece that I'm really missing.
Yeah, I'd like to chip in on that as well. So I've had several businesses, and the last business that we exited, I started out with one partner, and then we got a third partner in, and the first partner kind of got out of there. It was kind of a business divorce. It was not easy, but for us to kind of move on, I had to we had to make some changes, and having a business partner and even multiple business partners is very key for me, because I know my limits, but I also know my strengths. My networking, gathering people is one of my biggest strengths, and when I spend time on that, nobody can do the tech, nobody can do all the other stuff. So there needs to be time for that. And I don't want to be able to look over. I don't want to look over people's shoulder, and see if they're doing the work right. And that's why I like to have partners that I 100% trust and go do what needs to be done while I'm doing this. And I know I get the backup. And for this business to become big and stuff, we're probably going to have a lot of partners throughout the next couple of years, hopefully. And that's an environment I really thrive in, because it kind of, if I work alone, I would probably just end up sitting watching TV and drinking coffee, and it's gonna be just fine. But but I also know that's not how things work, So the more people you're involved, the more boost I personally get, for sure, and I can work 24/7 if that's the case.
Josh, Sadiq, any insights or thoughts on your end?
I'm all alone. So, I think kind of what John was saying, maybe, this is my first venture, and it's been kind of definitely educational doing it myself and wearing all those hats. But, I'm 4 years in now, so I think, I don't know about a partner, but I definitely need some help, and I definitely have weaknesses that I would love to fill with, the right person.
Very cool. Any other thoughts on this topic? Otherwise, I can shift us on to the next one.
Yeah, I got one comment. When people ask me if I've learned something over the years, the biggest thing I think I've learned and took to myself was, get an advisory board, get advisors. There's so many capable people out there that just want to spit out all their knowledge and stuff. And with the former company, we were so lucky to get the former CEO for the Weather Channel. His name is Mike, and it was just a fountain of wisdom. If you had an issue, when you hit $1 million, what comes next? Suddenly, is there a lawsuit? Why do we have to pay an attorney $20,000 just to solve some dumb stuff up in Atlanta? But all these kind of things, you don't know this, but you gotta figure out. And some of these advisors, they have contacts that can help you out with all this stuff, and that just escalates you so much faster instead of trying to figure it all out yourself.
Oh man, I love that. Has anyone else on the call have y'all had mentors, coaches, kind of anyone in the business that really could serve that role for you in the past?
We did with Product Startup, the AI company. We had advisors. They were really helpful as well. Yeah, I agree with Björn. Advice, having people that can give you good advice, because there's no way that you know everything. Just flat out.
Yeah, it's
all kinds of
impossible.
things you don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear, because I did just sign up with a company recently for that kind of mentorship. So I'm excited.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. I mean, yeah, full disclosure, like I'm in the business of, being a coach for other businesses, but our business, we have a coach that guides us, and he is light years ahead of where we are, because we want to get to kind of his level, and the things that he can see around the corner that we can't yet, it is phenomenal to be able to get that outside perspective and be able to look at things in a different way, and growth is so much faster with it. That's just my personal experience with it as well. So it strikes a nerve for me, because full disclosure, again, I'm in the business, but also eat our own cooking, so to say, and make sure that we do some of that as we grow. Well, let's talk a little bit about marketing. I love the topic of marketing. One, because I do it a lot. Two, because it's so vital, so important to every business out there, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's the easiest one for every new entrepreneur that doesn't have a background in marketing to just jump in and start to figure out. So I always like to just ask some questions around it and find out what has been working for y'all. What lessons have you learned along the way that maybe didn't work out as well, that we can kind of save some other folks on? So I'm curious, we'll just open it with a general question on marketing. And that's simply, what has been your philosophy to marketing or getting the word out about your business today?
Somebody else.
I would say my philosophy so far has been really relying on referrals and things like that. I haven't scaled to the place where, normal marketing scaling techniques are really appropriate. So I'm still trying to completely squeeze the juice out of what I have in front of me. And I have tried a few things that have come my way. I worked with a company that did LinkedIn outreach and email outreach, but for the most part, those were pretty fruitless. So I just run a little bit of ads for my business, and still working on putting all the pieces together so I can really put more gas on that.
Yeah. We don't really have any marketing budget, so I'm scrambling, Craigslist and Facebook and plastering our logo all over the place. And it actually, it for not spending any money, it actually has worked out pretty decently. And we also spend a lot of time on figuring out how does Airbnb start, Turo, and what did these kind of big platform marketplaces do in the beginning? And especially for Airbnb, they were very adamant with meeting every single homeowner, maybe even renting a night at their house, just get into it. And all the trailers we have on board now, both the trailer owners and the trailer renters, I try as much as possible to go out and meet them personally and say hello and just hear them out and what they need. And it has become to repeat customers now. And on Monday, I'm actually meeting with a company that do marketplace marketing big time. So we need to kind of outsource it, maybe get them in as a partner or something like that. What we can in-house is probably just the SEO and get some ads if we want to do that, but it's not going to be enough for us to really scale it up big time.
So how y'all Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, I was gonna add a little bit, Josh. I think that similarly, when I started my consultancy in the software consultancy in 2008, I went to meetups, I met people, I sold that way, but then it became word of mouth, and that's how my consulting business has existed for years, is word of mouth. I was always the generalist, and I couldn't figure out in any way how to advertise or market a specialty as a generalist, and so that was my experience previously. Now for the AI consulting focus, what I am trying to do is I'm trying to do some LinkedIn ads to see which messages resonate more. I'm trying to make more of a data-driven decision approach in which direction and which way I go. So far, I'm getting interesting results, but nothing conclusive. And so I don't yet have a good answer or a good story for how to market myself for this business.
And this is why I love this topic, because I believe each of you went directly to paid advertising, whether it's paid ads or hiring an agency, things like that. But I'm curious. I also heard networking and word of mouth and things that are offline. How are y'all building your databases? Just putting names into a list that you can continue to nurture and build relationships with long term. What has been your best strategy for just simply doing that?
Go ahead, Bruno.
Yeah, I go to as many networking meetings than I can, and I'm also personally a car guy, so I go to all the cars and coffees and all that kind of stuff with some buddies. Always have my business cards, and lo and behold, one of the trailers I rent that super cheap. It has a big plastered logo on it, so we're actually getting calls from that trailer, and it's cheap to do these kind of things, but you grow one seed at a time, and when you grow them that way, those are the first adapters. Those are the ones you want to hold on to. Eventually, and I recall that from a former business. Eventually, you're like, oh, I can't handle more now because there's so many of them. So, oh, great, we got a new one, whatever. Then now it's become expected, but in the beginning, you just have to all the channels that you can think about. And since I'm in a funny space where everybody knows somebody who has a trailer in their driveway, right? So when I ask that question, I give them a business card, and lo and behold, it actually comes back to us. And I think when we turn up for the volume on this kind of stuff, it's going to change up quite a bit.
Use a CRM and kind of manage. How do you manage the names and leads that just come in once somebody does call you, things like that?
We use Slack, ClickUp, and Notion to handle all this kind of stuff, and then obviously we have the back end on the website, which is horrible, but it's there and it's working. It's basically just our MVP, but next year we're gonna start a build from the scratch up and make it absolutely how it should be.
Josh, how about for you? Being in the marketing space, working with many different companies out there, what are you seeing just on your end from businesses that even you've worked with in terms of just generating database or being able to manage it? Is there particular CRMs that stand out that maybe some newer companies, smaller companies tend to use versus larger companies that may use something like a Salesforce or something that's very enterprise sized? What have you seen kind of in your experience?
Yeah, I think if you are enterprise size, Salesforce is definitely the go-to. If you're a little bit smaller, I see HubSpot all the time. I think HubSpot has been really growing aggressively over the last 5 or so years and has a lot of good features for the price, makes a whole lot of sense for most businesses. Yeah, those are definitely the two main ones I would say.
Yeah, we used HubSpot in my last company, and that was a turning point. We could track everything. When somebody put something in cart and they didn't close it out, a sales guy would get, oh, this person with this phone number, contact them. Can we help you? Whatnot. It's a game changer. I don't have the patience to involve myself in how to set HubSpot up. I can't. I will definitely get people to do that, but I really see the value of it. And you have to like dealing with that kind of stuff before it really benefits you, but it's a very powerful tool. I never dealt with Salesforce, but apparently, yes, they're way bigger and can do even more than HubSpot. So
And they come with a much higher price tag too. Although
absolutely.
HubSpot can get very expensive once you start getting into the professional levels of things.
Oh,
But
yeah. But I like how they kind of sweet talk you cheap into it, and a year and a half in, suddenly, hey, here's the bill. But it certainly pays off. They give you some time to set it up right, and they're very helpful as well.
Yeah, we launched with HubSpot for our website and for our lead tracking, and we're using the some of the free tiers and some of the whatever the starter tiers are. So we're not paying significant amounts, but we're getting some of the good benefits of having website leads and the tracking that you were talking about all together.
Oh yeah. So with our company, with Action Coach, we use HubSpot as well, and we've grown with it over the last couple of years. And Josh, to your point, they've been growing aggressively, like adding different features, all that kind of stuff. It's been kind of cool to see. But I've got kind of my my additional company that I own, and I just started off with HubSpot there because it's free, and it's like, well, I need to be able to at least take in leads and just hold them somewhere and track my notes and make sure that I can go back to it, and I can always upgrade later. So if you're watching this later on and you're a newer business and don't have something simple, that's a good place to start. Then you can test it, see if you like it, and maybe test out a few other things there. Well, I do want to be respectful of time. So before we get to some of our rapid fire questions, I always like to just ask a general question around, challenges or frustrations or kind of big lessons learned over the number of years that you've been in business, things like that. Now there may be 100 different things that come to your mind when I say lessons learned along the way, but if you kind of look back along the journey, is there kind of one lesson that you've had to learn that kind of stands out amongst the rest that you'd be willing to kind of share a little bit about with the audience here today?
I got a very good case, and I actually chatted with our former marketing manager about that. I met up with her over the holidays here in New Orleans, and at some point, we were working with real estate agents, and a couple of them asked, "Hey, can you please make an app? It's easier for us on the go, to place an order and get it all done." And we sat internally and discussed it a little bit. I was kind of the opinion, well, there's not too many that ask for it. Why? Let's do a little research on it. And no, we don't need that. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go with it. So I guess we spent like 40, 50 grand or something on like that, and made like a decent cheap app. And that was probably 70 people that downloaded, and that was out of the question. So if you want to spend a lot of money on something you think is a good idea, make sure to make a little bit of research. Just like when you start the company, you don't want to start a company that's already out there. So yeah, basically,
It's a good lesson.
yeah. But it's just money lost. It didn't do anything bad for us as such, But but I bet there's a ton of these kind of cases out there where.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So one thing I learned is that I quickly realized that I was up against a lot of kids who took a course on how to create an agency, or just people trying to figure out what to do after college, and so they're putting together these agencies without knowing anything about ads, because what they were being taught is how to get clients so that they can make money. And I realized that if they know how to sell better than I do, then me, with all of my experience, can still lose to this person who knows nothing about what we do. And so I quickly realized I had to come up with something a little bit more unique to combat that. And so that's where the Ads Tutor idea came from, is, well, maybe I can't outsell these people. Maybe I don't have the perfect script. You know, I don't think I'm a great salesman. That's not my strength. But these people can't teach what we know, what I know. You know, I could get in front of a completely different business and still help them succeed, still help them scale. They could be an e-commerce store, they could be a B2B company, and I could still help them grow. I could still show them the way. And so I realized that teaching is the way I need to go. And that's how the Ads Tutor came about. It's just a way for me to be unique and stand out and try to angle myself, position myself in a better way.
It's such a good lesson. It reminds me of, you know, you can have the best product or service in the world, but if your target audience doesn't know about it, it doesn't really matter. That marketing and sales is so important. I love that you've kind of shifted into the way that you're doing it currently. I always, you know, talk about how marketing is educating and communicating, and that's essentially what it is. And you've completely turned into that. That's fantastic. What a wonderful lesson.
Thank you.
Other lessons.
We'd already talked a little bit about finding partners in your business. So I think that in general, I think that that's a great idea. One of the lessons that I learned in specific around that is at one point in my consulting business, I was getting overloaded. I had too much going on. And I finally realized and figured out how to delegate and found a really good executive admin. And that person was able to really help me keep on top of a lot of the details and the minutia of what I was dealing with, but also help me keep a bunch of other bigger, medium-sized things organized as well. And figuring out as a as a smart control freak kind of person that wants to be in charge of everything and make sure everything goes really well, figuring out how to delegate was a process for me that I finally got good at. And so I would say that a lesson learned for me is being able to delegate some of the things to other people. I mean, for younger businesses, lawyers or accountants are some of the first places to start doing that. And then, but actually sharing other task management and delegation of other things as well is another area where you can figure out how to do that. And it makes a big difference.
Mm.
This is the lesson I'm currently trying to learn.
I mean, that becomes easier when, let's say, your company is growing and you're starting to actually have a team, and when you manage to hire the correct people, they will also respect you for the position you are in the company. And I'm not talking about you necessarily have to have a hierarchy and say, hey, do this and do that, whatnot. But it's nice to be in a position where you technically have all the answers, but you can also delegate it, and they can come to you, and it actually it turns out for us it was easier at some point. Suddenly, you know, our first hire part-time what was customer service representative, I had no clue about what to tell him or what to do, but throughout the time, you know, we worked together and they figured it out. If there was an issue, they knew who to come to, and that's just amazing.
Fantastic. Sadiq, any lessons learned for you that you'd want to share?
Lessons, I understand. Question normally you can about marketing lesson recently in the world.
Yes.
It's okay. And UX important for us because B2C business model e-commerce marketplace I have. So generally speed delivery, for example, Getir, do you know? Getir brand in Turkish brand in
Okay.
US market. So I think B2C business model, user experience very important. Always I listen to customer. B2B, I think not good recently this business model because Alibaba do you know, and AliExpress, Jeff Bezos only start B2C business model, user experience, all the C target. so important. And we have a personal team, generally customer experience. Okay, customer experience, UX. Always we are start growth, so development for us important. So, and budget, ads budget, you can say, always digital marketing, Google, TikTok, Pinterest, very important for us tools. I have the marketplace Shopify. Shopify I use now. So Shopify very nice. Generally, AI tools in the world very important, but I think uh, I can use good use tools important now. Not team, a lot of team, not good. I think artificial intelligence users important for us. It's
Like it.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Love the insight there. Well, as I said, I do want to be respectful of the time that we have here together today. So before we get to the final piece where, everyone wants to know where can they go find out more information, I've got one kind of, we'll call it rapid fire question, or one piece for the audience here, and that is going to be a book recommendation. Now, kind of the best way I like to frame this is, unless you've got a book that just comes to your mind and you want to share that one, what's one book that either you're currently reading or have read most recently that you could recommend to the audience? It does not have to be a business book. It can be any book that you want.
I actually, but I'm sorry to interrupt, but I last year I read a really good book that we were part of a little cohort at Tulane University down in New Orleans, and the professor Jane Cooper, which had a healthcare company that she exited some years ago, very very big time. She recommended a book called Get Backed, and it's about how you create a pitch deck, what it needs to involve and stuff. But it's actually very funny reading too, because they pull up some cases that did not work at all, and how that worked out, and they have interviewed a lot of the big companies, and what did they do with their pitch decks, and what did they do, and there's examples of companies that took up to 7 years just to get off the ground, and but they still did it, and that book it's a very very good read. Every entrepreneur should read that before they really throw themselves into the game.
I love it. I love the recommendation. Usually I can go back in order. John, do you have one that sticks out in your mind that you'd recommend to the audience?
I do. I've got one that is a useful way of understanding what computers and AI can do today, and many systems will continue to start using. It is called The Book of Why by Judea Pearl. The Book of Why. This book talks about why things happen, and this is a causality conversation. Almost everybody that's had any level of math training and statistics has been told that correlation does not imply causation, and that's true. But sometimes with the data, we can find causations. We can understand why something is true. And that this can, of course, it can apply to medicine, it can apply to psychology, it can apply to business decisions. And this book talks about it. It's got a few formulas in it, but it's written for the layperson, and it's all about the kinds of things that are possible with the current Bayesian and causality networks in math today.
Cool. I now have two books that I have not heard of before that get to go on my reading list. This is fantastic. Josh, how about for you? Any book recommendations?
The last one I read was that famous one about how to form habits and create, the habits that you want to persist. And then recently I've been reading a lot about just the gut microbiome and the access with the brain and how much it affects basically everything that we do, from our health to our happiness to like even the decision making that we do and things like that. So completely different topic, but that's usually I spend my time on interesting health optimization type stuff,
Very
learning about
cool.
that kind of stuff.
Very cool. I love that. Sadiq, any book recommendations for the audience?
Yes, Tanner. Normally, last year I don't read books. I listen, and generally Gary Vaynerchuk 1 years, and normally Guy Kawasaki, my teacher.
Nice.
My teacher all the books advice, and so but new generation, this Gary Vaynerchuk, I think good for me, because always motivation, advertising, and because social media marketing very important, always say to us, do you know? So TikTok always I like that because books and traditional I think, because time is money. Read all the time, a long time. So shorts and TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, this meeting uh, important. Enough.
I love it. It brings a really good point, and I always like to at least state that, for those that are watching, I ask for book recommendations at the same time. If books aren't your speed, like podcasts, or even just audiobooks in some cases, YouTube's got a tremendous amount of stuff in there if you know what to search for. TikTok these days, you can search that and see so many different things. It's absolutely fantastic with that process of learning and all that sort of stuff. So I appreciate it. As we round out today, I want to make sure that we provide the opportunity for the audience to find y'all, to connect with you, to learn more about your business, to ideally buy something from y'all down the road. Where can they go for more information? Where can they connect with y'all? I'll just go back through kind of my screen here. So John, going back to you, where can they go for more information, learn more about you?
On Twitter, I'm Jay Heintz, and our company website is gistlabs.ai, GISTLABS. And if you're looking for data strategy, AI strategy, or custom AI development, often with a specialty in small data, because very few businesses have real big data. Those are the kinds of things that we're helping advise startups and larger companies with, and we're helping build new algorithmic systems to solve problems.
Fantastic. Josh, where can they go to find out more information about you?
You can go to theadstutor.com, theadstutor.com, and book a call with me, and you can show me your ads, and I would be happy to give you some pointers, give you some free strategies of how to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of those ads. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Beautiful. Bjorn, where can we
Very
connect with you?
simple. Yep. If you own a trailer or you need to rent a trailer, and I must stress, we don't deal with campers or RVs and that kind of stuff. Utility trailers, whatnot. Mytrailer.com is the link you need, and go in, book a trailer, drive over to the other side of town, pick it up, and drop it off at the same spot again, and easy peasy. No waiting in line at the big rental companies.
Excellent. And Sadiq, I see that you put in the chat wboxgo.com. I will make sure that is there. Any other notes on where we can find you or connect with you and your business?
Yes, wboxgo.com and marketplace. So Tanner, normally you can advise to me a strategic plan for you. I wanna and buyer US market only. This
Excellent.
yes, marketing problem is marketing now. So not investment I have. So only slow budget, slowly ads. Maybe you can help me, action coach, according to action coach.
Excellent. We can certainly chat about that. For those of you that are watching, make sure you check all the links in the video description below. I will make sure that everyone's websites are there, all the links, all the Twitter handles, all of that fun stuff that we need is all there. I know a handful of you are on LinkedIn as well, and that's where we connected initially. So I'll make sure that those are in there as well. So if you're watching this later on, make sure you go take a moment. Whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn or websites or wherever, go connect and actually send a message, say, hey, saw you on the Business Spotlight panel, phenomenal conversation, actually make some real connections here, because that is partially what this is all about. So please make sure you take the time to go do that. Otherwise, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. This has been an absolute pleasure and really fun to kind of dive into a number of different things when it comes to your journey in business. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
It was
you
great.
Thank
so
you.
much.